Found and lost. She found me a short while later, sitting on a bench as far from the gate as I could get. Hands folded in my lap, and my mind far away. The first I knew of her presence was when her hand gently covered mine. Although it was an unexpected touch from a stranger, my instincts didn't cause me to jump or recoil, and I looked up into her face. "May I join you?" she inquired gently, although she didn't wait for me to answer. Looking back now, I realized that I felt safety in the way she had held my hand beneath hers. Up until that act of warm companionship, I'd felt more frightened than I had ever imagined possible. My hand had relaxed beneath hers, just one part of me that felt some release from fear. This diminutive lady holding my hand made me think of a child holding the string of a balloon, feeling it bouncing and bobbing in the wind, where release would see it escape high into the endless sky. Then it would drift and bob through clouds and breeze until it grew too small for the limits of the eye and would never be seen again. I thought I could be the balloon, and reality was this old lady's grip from which I could easily slip away. I didn't want her to let go. My day already felt so unreal that a tea invite from a little old lady I'd only just met seemed almost normal in comparison. It had started off just like any of 100 other days before, with not a hint of what would soon be revealed. I used to work in a shop, a small and friendly place. In the 24 months I worked there, I'd grown fond of all Mr. Grayson's regular customers, knowing their likes and dislikes, and for a few, their peculiarities. Mr. Grayson and his wife are very kind, and I've always been happy in their company. My job was like a comfortable pair of slippers or an old jumper. It was reassuring and familiar. Over time, it molded to fit me, and me to it, I suppose, the same way that the town I live in seems to have done. Fielding is a small, uncomplicated place. The main street runs straight through the center like the unyielding trunk of a tall tree. There are the usual parks, houses, schools, and shops, which run through the center, providing its core and center of gravity. A church stands at the very edge of the town, with a farm to its left. There are fields curling around to the right, and the church's face is turned to the town it serves. It sits slightly raised on a natural incline, befitting its status. Its foundations lay 200 years ago, and its doors perpetually open. I wasn't raised in Fielding, but spent my childhood in the arms of its close and smaller neighbor, Rushton. Rather than following the widespread tradition of leaving home only when marriage enveloped me, I moved to Fielding on my own in May 1937, having found my job and a lovely couple to lodge with. My new independence fitted, as they say, like a glove. I know I took my straightforward and happy life for granted, rather than realizing how fortunate I'd always been to live in security and contentment. The day I found myself sitting in the park was during a strange time of nationwide doubt and insecurity. So many people were voicing their opinions about if and when our country and its men might once again have to step forward and face the horrors of war. Although too young to have experienced the Great War, I was born in the year it ended. The ripples and repercussions are still felt often, and stories, anger, and sadness are effortlessly stirred. It's an old wound, and although from outward signs it appears largely healed, it remains so fragile that even the slightest trauma can cause the sticky blood of recollection to flow freely once again. I prayed many times that we wouldn't be thrown into such terror once more. The most common opinion at the time was that conflict was certain, but we could find reassurance in the fact that all would be over by Christmas. I certainly hoped the forecast would prove true, although some voices were heard muttering that we'd all said that before. I'd not known the paralyzing fear of waving goodbye to a loved one until, uniform-clad, they disappeared from sight for months or forever.